Fargo has been hailed as one of the Coen brothers' best movies, but their crime masterpiece begins with a lie. The film is set in the wintry and polite community of Minnesota and follows the bloody consequences that come from a desperate car salesman hiring two criminals to kidnap his wife for ransom money. Fargo was an indie hit in '96, won 2 Oscars, and spawned the acclaimed Fargo TV series. However, the movie started off its brilliant crime story with a bold lie, as the opening title card claims that the story the audience is about to see is based on a true story. It is a chilling suggestion that immediately grips the audience, but it is also completely fictitious. The Coen brothers did not draw inspiration from any real-life crimes, and they knew the title card was an outright lie. However, the curious decision is a sign of the unique approach that helped make Fargo a masterpiece. This is a true story. The events depicted in this film took place in Minnesota in 1987. At the request of the survivors, the names have been changed. Out of respect for the dead, the rest has been told exactly as it occurred. There are plenty of films based on true stories that similarly include this claim in the movie's opening. It is also true that many movies use the term true story very loosely, as they can often take bare elements of a real case and make their own story out of it. However, Fargo is perhaps the only film that has claimed it is based on a specific incident, but it is actually an entirely original story. It might seem like an odd choice, but it sets the audience up for the bold choices the Coen brothers make with Fargo. There are certain storytelling conventions that most movies abide by, and while the Coen brothers had already established themselves as subversive filmmakers, Fargo really showed how bold they were willing to be. The movie's tone was one of the riskiest aspects of the project, as it jumped between quirky humor and grim violence on a whim. The film has an offbeat feel for the first act, but the scene in which Grimsrud executes a cop and 2 witnesses on the highway suddenly makes things quite serious before returning to the comedic elements. Fargo is also confident enough to wait until the second act of the story to finally introduce the main character. While Fargo had been populated by colorful and entertaining characters up to that point, it quickly becomes clear that Marge Gunderson is now the lead of the story. Having her suddenly take over the narrative is jarring at first, but quickly feels normal. All these elements go against traditional storytelling, but it all begins with that true story claim at the beginning of the movie. It is the Coen brothers' way of announcing that they do not care about the rules that have been put in place, and they will tell their story however they want. It is that approach that makes Fargo such a unique and competitive movie instead of a run-of-the-mill crime tale. The claims of Fargo being based on a true story are false, but that has not stopped the legend surrounding this claim from growing. Throughout the years, fans have sought out various true crime stories that seem to have a connection to the story in Fargo, insisting that these are the crimes the Coen brothers got inspiration from. Despite the opening text claiming that the crimes took place in 1987, many people have suggested Fargo is based on the case from 1963, in which Minnesota attorney T. Eugene Thompson hired a man to kill his wife. Others have pointed to the case in 1986, in which Helle Crafts was killed by her husband, and her body was disposed of with a wood chipper, similar to the infamous scene in Fargo. There is also an urban legend about a woman who was found dead in the snow off the side of a road in Minnesota, with claims that she died while searching for the lost briefcase of money that was seen in the movie. The tale continues to live on as every episode of Fargo begins with a similar claim. Each season keeps the same exact text, only changing the date to fit the era that the specific season is depicting. While some fans seem eager to believe that Fargo is based on a true story, some of that can be blamed on the Coen brothers themselves, who have helped stoke the rumors for years. Initially, the filmmakers claimed that there were actual murders that the movie was based on, but that they changed a lot of the details. In a special edition DVD of Fargo, the Coen brothers further leaned into this idea by including a full true crime documentary about the supposed inspiration of the movie.